Northampton and Bordeaux, folks, Champions Cup final. There is no Leinster, Toulouse or La Rochelle in this year's Champions Cup final. That is something of a refreshing change for this competition. Both these sides you feel like have points to prove. Northampton beat Leinster on their way into this final, kind of in the, very much in the underdog's role. You feel like they are relishing that chance to prove all their doubters wrong. And for Bordeaux, you feel like they got over something of a mental barrier against Toulouse in their semi-final to prove that they are right up there to be a potential Champions Cup winner. So it's a big game for them, to put it mildly. We'll go through the squads which have been named, some of the changes, the stats, predictions, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how this one is going to go. I need to say a special thanks to Ruck and Rack Vintage Rugby jerseys. Check them out down in the description if you want to get yourself some vintage rugby gear. The squads have been named. We'll start with Northampton. They are bolstered by a couple of bits of good news. George Furbank is back at fullback. That is certainly good news. The guy's not had a lot of rugby, but he was in great form prior to his injury. He was one of the guys mentioned as a potential Lion, but he is back fit, so that is a bit of good news. And Slightholme is there on the bench, so that's also a bit of good news for a guy who's missed out on a bit of rugby. The bad news for them is Augustus, the number 8. He's missing out. He's picked us up an injury in training, so they're going to miss his offloads and his carries and his big dominant tackles, which he showed against Leinster. I do feel like he is a really big miss. Jogan, Langdon and Davison, that's the same front row as they played in the semi-final, so no changes there. Mayana Vanua is also there in the second row. Lockett is promoted from the bench to starting in the second row because Coles is at number 6, Kemmeny's at number 7, and that man Henry Pollock is going to be there at number 8 for this one, replacing the Augustus role. He is certainly going to be a guy with the spotlight on him, having been selected for the British and Irish Lions. Mitchell and Smith, their partnership at 9-10 is going to be phenomenally important. They relied a bit more on Smith to do the kicking from hand, and Mitchell's snipes are certainly going to be one to watch because he is a real live wire. Hutchinson and Dingwall, I feel like, is a somewhat underrated midfield, even if they're both international players. Freeman on the right wing is certainly going to get, again, many of the plaudits with his Lions selection, but James Ram, if you're looking at a big stats merchant in the Champions Cup this year, has certainly been the most dangerous of the Saints backline, and then Furbank, as I mentioned, is back fit. On the bench, they have gone 5-3, which maybe indicates there's a little bit of a fitness worry about some of the guys, like James Ram, had a bit of a doubt about him going into it, although he has been named, so potentially a bit of extra cover for them on the bench. I mentioned Ruck and Rack Vintage. If you do want some rugby jerseys, they got worldwide shipping. They got jerseys for as low as like £12 or just under €15. A heap of cool old jerseys. They got a kids section. If you want to see them in person, they're doing pop-up shops all over the place. The Summer Social in London, the Chester Sevens, the Bury Sevens, the Edinburgh Sevens. So if you want to get yourself some vintage rugby gear at a reasonable price, check out Ruck and Rack Vintage. Their Instagram and their website is down in the description, so cheers once again to them. For Bordeaux, they are bolstered by the fact that Damien Penaud has been able to be selected. He was doubtful after picking up a knock in the semi-final. You could see the look on his face that looked as if he felt he was going to miss the final at the end of the game, but he is named there on the right wing. Poirot, Lamotte and Falatea are the same front row. They were certainly very defensively solid against Toulouse, winning a few of Bordeaux's many turnovers. Coleman and Cazot are the same second row. Look out for Cazot's tackles because he was their top tackle merchant in the semi. Diaby, Petty and Samu, that's the back row. Samu's been making waves with his return to Australia on the horizon and his great form, meaning potentially he could feature against the British and Irish Lions for the Aussies. Luku captains the side at 9 alongside Jalibert, and Luku, believe it or not, was the top tackler of the Bordeaux backs in the last game and their second top tackler overall, so it's not just about his ball in hand stuff. Moefana and Deporter, that is an all-French international midfield, and Bielbiaré, Penaud and Burros, that is a very sexy looking back line. I mean, the Northampton back line is also very good, so the back threes for both these sides very, very effective. Bielbiaré has been the poster boy of the Six Nations. Penaud has got some crazy stats in this year's Champions Cup, and then Burros in the semi kind of stole the show with like 7 defenders beaten and whatnot against Toulouse. Very, very dangerous. They have gone with the 6-2 split, with Ritzier kind of being the Swiss Army knife, covering many positions in the back line, and then Jan van Rensburg, the only other back. If you want some stats, well, I know each team's path to the Champions Cup is different, so they're going to have different stats, but if you want Tries, it's Bordeaux. They've had 50 to Northampton's 39. They've had more tackles, kicks, points, the best line out, the most clean breaks, the most turnovers won. There's a whole bunch of stats where Bordeaux are the best side in the Champions Cup. But it's not just about them. Northampton have got a few of their own. They've kicked more penalty goals than Bordeaux have in this Champions Cup, which could be an important one if you're thinking about keeping it tight in terms of a final. They've also had more carries and more defenders beaten. So if Northampton can retain a bit of possession, make the Bordeaux guys fall off a few tackles, they will certainly be in the game. Individuals, a couple of the guys you need to highlight. Damien Penaud, my goodness, 12 tries in this year's Champions Cup, 21 clean breaks. He's first in many categories, 606 run meters. He's ahead of Freeman, who's at 571. James Ram, though, for Northampton. Thank goodness he's fit. 86 carries, 30 defenders beaten. He's had 500-plus run meters as well. So this is what I mean. If these guys, assuming the final doesn't just stay all tight, if these guys in the back line can get some ball, this is definitely going to be an entertaining game. Pollock, as I mentioned, I don't need to hype him up any more than he has been hyped up because his hype train is real with the Lions tour, but top tackler of the Champions Cup. He's been winning turnovers. Moefana's been making tackles for the Bordeaux guys. He's their top tackle with 83. Jalibet's the top offloader. There's a whole bunch of stars on display. How is it predicted to go? Well, the Rugby Forecast algorithm says it could go either way, with it being a 1-point advantage to Northampton, but could go either way as the Rugby Forecast call. The bookies are saying the other way, though. They are saying Bordeaux by 7. The stats would say Bordeaux as well, but nobody was giving Northampton a chance against Leinster, so in a final, who knows? Nika Amashukeli, the Georgian, is the referee for this one. It is on at Cardiff. It is a 2:45 kickoff, which is 1:45 in the morning for me, which is horrendous. Apparently there are still tickets available. I won't be going, but might be a nice one to attend for anyone who's in the area. Champions Cup final might be a bucket list kind of one to attend. But you guys let us know your thoughts on the game. How do you see this one going? Thanks again to Ruck and Rack Vintage. You guys take care, and talk to you guys again soon. See you later.